Guys. You guys.
Prediction? Yes, prediction. Pain.
Are you ready? I was born ready.
Obviously, you're a little, aggravated by the line of questioning regarding Canelo.
I don't want to touch this, dirty, so bad. I don't want to touch his name.
I'm working on feeling the art of humbleness. Can you be with me? That's the reason why I'm crying, because I'm not that person anymore. And I miss him. But sometimes I feel like a bitch. I don't want that person to come out, because when he comes out, hell is coming with him. And it's not funny at all. It must sound cool, like I'm a tough guy. It's just I hate that I'm scared.
It would be awesome to, be being a great war. Maybe with a Mexican. I have to put the joke.
No, hey. Thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. Good timing.
Can't put predictions, man, but I definitely don't want to leave it to the judges.
Estamos en vivo, ladies and gentlemen. We are Long League Boxing en Vivo podcast. As always, los tres amigos, Manny, Marrero,
Shawn El Gringo Hicksa,
Hopper.
breaking it down like it is, like it should be. More boxing in the house.
Como debe de ser.
Como tiene debido.
way too much boxing.
Too much.
Mucho.
Maybe not enough. I don't know.
Well, no,
I missed the summer series.
I sure
Stop
do.
doing-
Already?
I sure
Come
do.
back.
But I think that is
Oh, because
so,
it's Thursday.
so much fun this last week, and through different channels, you're going back and forth. TV in the living room, the one in the in the bedroom, and my computer on. It's like I'm all through guys. Like wow, pausing one, seeing the other ones. I mean, it was pretty excited though. I enjoyed this last Saturday.
It really was. It was fantastic. And, it's nothing like being able to watch all those fights. But the only thing that would be better,
Being there.
being there.
Oh, my
Being
God.
able to take pictures.
Being able to take pictures,
Sucks.
being a part of the experience, being able to share the moments and capture the amazing energy of the fights.
Wow. How much is a picture worth?
1,000 words.
words.
Right?
Quite a few
So
words.
we actually have somebody that can help us out with that.
What? No way.
We actually do. So we have in the house with us, let's give it up, guys, for
Roll that R.
Esmeralda Ferraro.
Eso, rollo.
La fotógrafa de la gente.
La reina del sur del boxeo.
In the house.
¡Huepa! ¡En vivo!
Yo.
In the
I
house.
got
What an
Man,
introduction.
that's an
Saludos,
intro.
Esmeralda.
That's how you do it.
Spider, we're going to have to, do some with our intro, throw a little.
I know, right?
Our intro
We're throwing
is
the red carpet for la chica.
wackadoocious.
Bienvenida al show, Esmeralda.
So we are so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining
Thank you
us.
for
We
taking
really
the
appreciate
time.
it. It's an honor to have you in and to have the queen in court. So talking about
Thank you.
boxing and all of the great things that it brings. I love what actually I found out and learned about you was actually watching your social media, and I'm a sucker for images, but anything that's going to capture the beauty of boxing, I'm all over it. And then
Why not?
Esmeralda takes it to another level. She puts you to a test. Do you want to go with the black and white? You want to go with the color? And I always get sucked in, as I should. So but there's so much more to know about Esmeralda than just that, and we're so lucky to have her on. So Esmeralda, without further ado, thanks again for joining us, and we'd love to hear more about what you've been doing and what got you into the sport of boxing.
Thank you, guys. I'm so honored to be on your podcast, especially with you guys. You guys are so active on social media and so supportive for the women and the men's boxing in general, and I love it. You guys are. Anytime you guys need me, I'll be here for you guys.
Oh,
Making us
wow.
blush.
Oh my
Thank
God!
you. Yeah. we
Even
are.
Hopper?
Friends. Friendship.
Amazing.
Well, I mean,
Might have to redecorate the studio, but I'm here.
Oh,
Hey.
yeah.
No, that's
I love your
awesome.
flag,
Yeah.
though. Very
I
nice.
love your
Very
flag.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine's a little
It's
wrinkly.
amazing.
I got inspired by you guys. So I was like,
Es que tú sí la planchaste, ¿verdad? Yo no, yo nomás la tenía en mi mochila, ahí está doblada.
Deja que veas el video, yeah, but
there's a way
definitely.
to fold it. No, no.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. That's what I do. You see mine? I never iron mine.
Yeah.
You know
Nunca la
what, Manny?
plancho.
You know what?
Well, yeah,
Let's talk
thank you.
boxing.
¿No
Thank
te
you
gusta
for,
la mía? Mira la estrellita
No,
bonita.
está bonita, claro que sí. Ahí.
Weapon, Vivo.
So we were talking about being at the fight. So, you were recently at a fight, and you had an opportunity to take pictures, be involved, and really kind of just, what is that like? First of all, that's awesome. But what has that been
Thank
like,
you.
and how's that experience been?
It's been tough. I used to box before, so I thought back then, many years ago when I was boxing the amateurs, I thought, that men were not supportive. I was like, maybe times have changed, and I see so much on social media. And I was like, oh, I think they'll be more supportive of women in the sport. But no, even as a photographer, there's so many men that are still like aren't fully supportive, and it's hard being at these fights. I'm at them with, I don't know, Gibaro Perez. He's here in Tijuana. He has a lot of promotions, and I've been working with him, taking photos of all his events. But there's 15 fights, sometimes 18 fights. It's about an 8-9 hour day of out in the sun, and it's overwhelming. It's exhausting, and my eyes literally stuck to the camera the whole time.
Wow, that's it sounded amazing in the beginning. So obviously there's some challenges to it, and there's obviously a dark side.
Misogynistic pigs.
Yeah, I hate
I'm
us.
just glad she continued to pursue that.
Yeah,
and not
look at
giving
that.
up and say, hey, no matter.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So
Sticking
obviously,
with it.
to get to that point, there's always, like Hopper says, my brother, everybody has an origin story. So you mentioned that you were in the amateurs. So talk a little bit about that. I mean, a little bit of anger issues. What's going on with that? Esmeralda? In the house.
Whoop us if she.
Yeah.
Not so much anger issues. I just actually got into boxing because my mom is a huge fan of it, and her, my grandpa was too, and it came to her. And I grew up watching Chavez, and I grew up watching Madomero fights and Macho Camacho, and it was just like I was like, why can't I do that? Or why can't I punch and get away with it? And when I started going to junior high and high school, it was one of those things where it was more of didn't really say much, but it wasn't bullying. It was more of people just judging me, and over just thinking I couldn't defend myself or thinking I couldn't do anything. But I was more of those actions speak louder than words, and it was like, okay. And it came down to it. I got expelled in junior high, and it was actually my probation officer that was like, why do you do this? Like, is it anger? And I'm like, unfortunately, I was like, I like boxing. And she convinced my parents to put me into a local community center. And it was the Barrio Station in Logan, and I started there, and they saw that I had talent, and they switched me up to another trainer, and I was actually with the trainer for about 4 years. And he, in my team there actually was Giovanni Santillán, who fought Antonio DeMarco in that very
controversial
in that win.
Yeah.
Quotation, air quotes.
It was a good fight.
Yeah, that's crazy. I guess we have a connection right there because he was the first person I interviewed once I decided to try my hand at writing. So I guess.
Oh really?
Yeah, crazy connection we have there. Awesome.
Meant to be.
Very humble, very nice, and it was nice to see him fight. I was like, oh wow, like I trained with him at one point. We were teammates for 4 years. It was nice to see that.
That is cool.
But after that, it was jumping from one coach to another. I fought a couple of times in the amateurs in San Diego and California, and I wasn't getting the attention from my coach. And my godfather is Olivaritos Morales. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but he's Eric Morales' father.
Wow.
He was like, you know what, you're so talented. He's like, you're really good. You've been hiding this. And he's like, come down to Tijuana if you're willing every day across the border, and I will train you. And that's exactly what I did. Every day I crossed the border, and I would train in the gym in Zona Norte for like 3 hours. And majority of my fights were in Tijuana in Mexico, and I did really well.
So
It was
wait.
amazing.
Your godfather is Eric Morales' dad?
Yes, Oliva.
Tu padrino?
Wow.
The bautismo?
Rest in peace. He died about 4 years ago, but he
rest in peace.
was my godfather.
Oh,
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
So you truly are royalty.
You are. Look at that.
No.
No.
And what about any
the truth
interactions?
comes out.
Any interactions with Eric Morales? I mean, I'm sure you saw him.
You work mitts with him?
You trained him?
No.
Spar with him?
You sparred with him?
Some kind of thrown over right hand. No.
You taught him that
He was
counter.
in the gym a lot, obviously. So was like Travieso Arce was in the gym a
Ooh,
lot
Travieso.
back then. Julio Cesar Chavez, Ana Maria Torres. Jackie Nama was one person that I wanted so badly to be in the gym, and she never came when I was there.
Oh,
But
that would have been
yeah,
cool too.
and back then, photography was always there. I take pictures at. I have pictures of Pacquiao and Morales at the weigh-ins, at the press conference. I have like my godfather next to Freddie Roach, And back then there wasn't digital cameras, so it was just regular film photography.
Right.
And if I would have known back then that was there for me, I would have pursued it a long time ago. And it took so long. My godfather actually, after his passing, was when I analyzed everything, and I fell in love with the sport again. I started watching it again. My husband really encouraged me to like do photography, to start my Twitter. Actually, he's like, "You have so many things to say. Just just make one." And I was like, "No, man." It took me a while, and he just kept encouraging me. I finally did it. He's like, he's like, "You know what you're talking about. People hear it." He's like, "People agree with you and they support you." He's like, "Why not just voice your opinion?" And then that led to photography. And my godfather would have these. They weren't the greatest pictures back then. I wasn't, very good, but he would blow up these pictures of, his kids, or at different press conferences, and make these big, big posters in Tijuana, and he would put them all around his house, and he would tell me, he's like, "You took that, and you took that." And it was like, I wish he was here now to see that I'm actually doing this, and he's one of the biggest reasons why I started.
Wow. That's
That's
amazing.
That's amazing.
It's pretty good. You
rubbing elbows with some of the elite of boxing.
It seems like you did find your passion, to the sport of boxing, and all of a sudden you found a new passion right now.
My first love, yeah.
Your first love. So what happened that you decided to kind of stop, boxing, or was there something that happened in between that, or that did you just feel more passionate about being a photographer rather than just being a boxer?
That's funny because at the fights, my husband, he's so encouraging and motivating. He's like, "Babe," he's like, "You punch harder." He's like, "You can do that." He's like, "You should," he does this. And I'm like, at times it gets me thinking like, I'm too old though, but no, I love the photography aspect. I'm watching absolutely everything that's going on in the ring from a different eye. I look back at the pictures and I'm like, "Oh man, he should have weaved on that. Oh man, he clearly caught that."
Are you moving your head as you're watching?
I know, right?
Bopping and moving your head.
You start talking to him. She's in the corner.
In the corner, throwing water at
It's
Go to the
hard
body.
because I'm behind the camera.
You're
but I'm
not
like,
listening to me.
like,
No me estás escuchando.
I need a body
Keep
shot.
your
Throw
head
a
up.
body shot. Okay, hold on. My camera ready.
It's hard, and even if I do speak up, the men are just like, "What do you know?" So it's still there's
Pull
still
that
that
card.
impact.
Peekaboo, I know more than
You
you.
still get that vibe that men
It's hard,
kind of.
yeah.
Well, yeah. First of all, that needs to stop right
Jerks.
now. I mean, that's horrible. And just to let you know, I mean, it comes from all sides too.
It
It's.
does.
I mean, we experience that as well. I mean, everybody they're not accommodating. The boxing culture to me is very toxic. I'll just be very honest.
It is. You
Yeah,
just have to navigate it with good people and just
Exactly.
smile
Yeah,
about
people-
it because the people can be very douchey. Let's just put it like
Yeah,
that.
pretty much. And so
Not you, Charlo twins, of course not.
No, not at all.
not them.
You guys are amazing.
guys
Always
awesome.
great to the fans.
Very
Go
respectful.
PBC.
But no, we don't. We want you to get discouraged, and or feel that what you're doing doesn't matter. It doesn't have value because it has great value. I wasn't just saying that because hey, that's a great picture because it was, but I was thinking like, man, this person has a passion. You are very clear and definitive on your mindset and your ideas on what boxing can be. Grow the sport basically. So we're always going to be here to help support that and give you this platform whenever you're willing to deal with us. So with that being said, though, it has to be some people that are giving you support. I mean, your husband sounds like he's amazing. Is there anybody you want to give, a quick shout out that has been supportive, male, female? Have the women in boxing been supportive?
Benefactor.
They have. Not all of them are on social media, especially here in Tijuana. But Paulette, that just fought on Box Azteca, she's been so supportive, and she's always calling me like, "Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's hang out." And Sule Urbina on Twitter, she's amazing. I don't know how she has time to do her life and be on Twitter so much, but she's very supportive. The other ladies are, Nika from the beginning. I think we were the first ones. She connected with me first, and she's also been inspiring and very, very motivating for me as well. And she always tells me like, do this and do more, and work like go through this. And I'm like, oh wow, because that's helpful because she does her podcast and. Just hearing one female tell another female, like, "Hey, you're doing it really good. You're good at it. You know what you're talking about. Like, keep doing it." It means a lot. She kind of boxing off. So Lily is, I mean, she's amazing. Yep. And so when she gives me credit, or when she's like, "Oh my God, I thought that's so," I'm like, "Oh." It's still that little doubt of like, okay, I do know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's good. You always gonna
that's
find some
good.
people,
That's right,
you know,
yeah.
around the industry that's gonna give you that actual support and
Push.
matter
Yeah.
of fact,
And
that
help.
push. And we get ourselves in here. You know, we just kind of
Yeah,
fairly
there's a
new to
lot
the
of
game,
good
and there's a
too.
lot of good.
There's a lot of good.
Yeah, there's a lot of
people.
good.
A lot of great
You know,
people.
Great
Actually,
people to
there
it,
are,
and embracing us. And at the beginning, it was a little weird. I can
it
see
was
that, 'cause
it was
we went-
rough at first.
When we went
Like,
to
who are
our
these
first
guys?
event, yeah, there was
And
like,
then,
whoa.
yeah, I guess once they see we're actually committed to it, and then we're not, overnighters or anything, just gone overnight.
Right.
Yeah,
good.
so
out there.
I think that's the main thing. So once people see that you're genuine and
Yes.
that you have a passion and that you want something,
Well, you know boxing.
well, yeah,
You
they-
actually know
thing.
boxing,
It's-
and that's the difference. You can capture
I think
moments through photography. And that's why very interested in hearing her story, because there's a story behind those photos, and the story that she's capturing on that is basically thoughts and seeing it coming live and get it in the picture.
yeah,
that's amazing.
That's a great point. Before we start getting to the fights, Esmeralda, at what point? Because that's another thing that I've experienced too. It's one thing to talk to your friends and people. Hey, you got a good idea, or when it hit you that you were like, I have talent. Like someone told you that wasn't a family member, that wasn't a friend, that you knew that maybe I can make a career with this.
Which boxing star was it?
It was it was my husband, and I'm not a non-family member, but it was my husband because he's a male. So when he said, you know what, you can hold a conversation about boxing better than any guys I know. He's like, and better than a lot of the people. He's like, you really know the sport. He's like, not just do you know the sport. He's like, but you have your history with it. So coming from a former boxer, knowing about the sport, it means that much more.
It does.
And that's really what I was like, okay, let me try it out. And like I said, I tried it with Twitter, and surprisingly, I've had nothing but good experiences so far. Like a lot of support, a lot of love, a lot of people saying, I agree with that. A lot of people saying like, oh my God, you're right. And those are the things that I'm like, okay, like, I'm doing good with this. This is definitely where I want to take my career in photography.
Do you typically lean towards, when you do, this kind of, posts, do you lean more towards as a fan perspective, or do you look at things and say things or try to, educate people more as a person that's knowledgeable in the sport? Like a color checker.
Oh my,
That's true.
it's so difficult because sometimes as a former fighter, like I'll snap a moment like a candid, and I'll be like, that's a great shot. Like the intensity of right before you spar, right before you get in the ring, or not knowing if you won the fight or lost the fight.
Yeah,
and I like to capture those moments because I personally know they're so intense, and then someone else will say and be like, oh, and I'm like, no, but there's so much behind. So it's really hard to post it and be like, okay, do I want to post it because I like it? Do I want to post it because I think the fans will like it? Or do I want to post it because it's just a great shot?
Right.
So
Man,
but most
that's a
of the
great
time I
point.
go with what I think
No, that's great. No, I think that's actually a good point.
and hope people think the same.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Oh, they do, and that's how you're gonna have a mixture, though, because you're gonna have the people that love it, that like it, and some of them that will hate it, and
of
tough
course.
luck for those.
Yeah,
It
and
is what it is.
Manny brought up a good point because when I
Did
look
he?
at the actually he did.
Surprisingly?
Finally.
Surprisingly. But
Damn.
I might change my mind. Hold on, give me a minute. But surprisingly, I agree that what you just described. When I look at your pictures, and now that I think, kind of going back when you have the black and white color comparisons, you do capture real intense moments. I mean, yeah, you have the nice
you.
moments like with the kids holding the gloves up and look at me and but they're unwrapping their wraps on their hands and things like that. But the moments like they're working in the body and real intense moments. Like you're really trying to capture that emotion. So I think that's why I was drawn to your work, because it does have so much power behind it. It's not, just the guy or the lady just kind of like in the corner, with
pictures.
the
They
water.
have to be pictures. They have to tell a story
Exactly.
without
yeah.
any words. Without any
Mhm.
words.
Yeah.
And if you're able to have the knowledge behind the camera and understanding the sport, now you'll be able to integrate your eye. In terms of what am I looking and what I want to be portrayed. And that's what got our attention. We're so excited to have you on the show because when I started to look at some of your work, it's like, man, this is
Like,
pretty
wow, this is
decent.
pretty
It's
cool.
pretty good. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's different. Yeah, I can sit and look at a picture, the one you just described is like, there's a story behind it. I can have an assumption what it is. I can probably think, oh, this is what about that. But the reality is who knows about that kind of story. And that's the interesting about it because if you can go different ways on one photo of a certain shot, that does actually go far.
Yeah, I think that, just offhand, for those that don't know, Esmeralda, she is a fantastic photographer and she does amazing work.
Thank
You definitely want
you.
to follow her on social media. She puts her stuff up there and she'll challenge you,
Yeah.
right? So don't be there just,
So she knows about
Yeah,
this
she knows what she's talking
Don't
about.
come at her.
yeah,
Come at her correct. Come correct.
come
Don't
correct.
come at all.
Bring your
Yeah.
A game.
Yeah, I
Hit
may
you with
need
that-
I may
hit you
need
with
some
that
new
hook.
I may need some new headshots.
What
I'll
up?
put some gloves on it.
That's
One of
right,
my
man.
one of my favorite shots you did was
Some
actually
shadow boxing pictures.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly. There you go.
Was actually not a person at all. It was you took a picture of the gym, and the gym wasn't clean, right? And you said, you gave the black and white comparison, and you even took it a step further. Like, what would be a good quote on there? And I thought the
You
black
gave me
and
a
white,
great one.
right? And I can't remember right now. I set up and I failed. But I do remember that it
Like
was from
half man, half
Half man,
Half man, half disappointment.
That's
Sorry,
his nickname,
Esmeralda.
Esmeralda. So
That's how
keep
it
that in
goes.
mind.
All I know is that
Gringo, half man,
it was a
half
quote.
disappointing.
I said black and white, and I know it was a quote from Sylvester Stallone, actually,
Yeah.
from Rocky.
Rocky?
Something about we're champions. Do you remember the quote?
Oh,
Way to go, Gringo.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
We'll get it before the show's over, I promise. Or I'm kind of lying. I don't know. Either way. But with that
Maybe
being
It's
said,
there.
oh
But I
man,
did put the quote on the picture, and I have it, so I'm gonna send it to you when we're done. And I'm gonna send it so you have that, and you can see it's the black and white picture that you liked, and it's the quote right there on the bottom.
oh
Looks like a
man,
poster.
Be sure to post it.
oh man, that's awesome, man. See, I am somebody. Hot damn. All right. So speaking of somebody, Esmeralda, you mind talking about the fights with us a little bit? Because they had quite a few.
Oh, which ones?
Dilian Whyte.
All right,
maybe?
so,
Lead off
yeah.
with the
So
our
I don't know if
brothers in
you
the
knew
UK.
about this, but Dilian Whyte is still asleep right now. Literally.
Somebody wake him up.
What happened?
my
What had
God,
happened was
I'm
What
glad I didn't
happened
get up to
was-
get a beer or anything.
Who
like
threw that
'cause
rock?
oh wow! I was like, this is done, but I just stay focused and watch
Oh,
that.
man.
okay. So
come out.
again, I haven't been the most impressed overall. Like, they had the different of their series respect to the zone and the fight camp that they did. I thought one was, pretty solid action. But as far as, name recognition, the quality from, the depth of the card, I thought the one they just did, Fight Camp 4 was fantastic. And then, of course, it ended with the great co-main event with the ladies going at it, Katie Taylor,
Carrie
and Pursoon.
Delphine Pursoon.
Right. Do the rematch from that they had last
The
December.
rematch. Controversial.
Yeah,
The
controversial.
first fight was
This one wasn't as
controversial. This one
controversial.
wasn't controversial.
This one was
No.
pretty
Yeah, pretty clear.
This was somebody. Katie Taylor had prepared.
Somebody got beat up.
Yeah,
and
it was
opened
completely,
up.
totally different result. So, what was your thoughts on it? Did you get a chance to see the fight?
The Pursuit fight?
Mhm.
Yeah. Let me word this correctly.
Whoa.
No, I mean, the outcome was exactly what it should have been. I really expected, but sometimes as having had fought, you just have these high expectations. I really thought Pursuit was really gonna be different this time around, and unfortunately she wasn't, and it went to Taylor. But Taylor deserved it. All the rounds she was doing well, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean they gave a good fight.
No, they definitely did. They had a great showing for themselves. They put it all out there. No one can definitely question that. I'll go ahead and say for me, honestly, I thought as far as work rate and damage given and control, I thought the first fight, Pursoon had I thought she had
Edged it
edged it
out.
out.
Yep.
I really did.
Yep.
I thought like
That's
what
fair.
had got lost in the Joshua, Andy Ruiz, fight was the fact that I thought that was, maybe a questionable decision. But hey, that's why you have rematches. And so, yeah, like to your point, I really like to kind of get a little bit more deep. When you said you thought she would have came out different, like what is specifically different as far as her approach about how she was maybe not as technically sound because her punches were a little wide and, she wasn't as technical as she could have been. You think she was maybe overly aggressive and not sharp? What's as far as Pursoon?
I think she wasn't aggressive enough. I think Katie Taylor came in pretty good, and I just expected her to be more aggressive, and I expected her to really have more technique and combinations, and she didn't really show that. She showed some single shots, and then
Right.
to me she seemed a little bit outwinded. But to be honest with you guys, I was going back and forth between that and folks that stick because folks have to stick out when they do their promotion, but Sanford, there's really good fights on the undercard. And it's really hard to just go back and forth with both.
Hey, no, we've all been there. So absolutely.
Mhm.
So yeah, I could definitely see that as well. I think that, for me, I know that, Katie Taylor is obviously the A
Cash
side.
cow.
Yeah,
Cash cow.
yeah.
So I was thinking, like, my mindset is, you do want to go out there and you can't just win. You got to beat the champ, So I was thinking, yeah, that Pursoon would be able to establish more, get more volume out there. But yeah, for whatever reason, I'm not really sure. Maybe she was too confident
Yeah.
from the last one. It was just kind of, it's kind of, I don't say disappointing, but it was surprising.
Lackluster. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Surprising. I get you. But yeah, and the thing that
Yeah,
surprised
it
me
was
with Katie
surprising.
Taylor was that I think I noticed about this fight was that she couldn't land those damaging shots that had Pursoon change her aggressive style, because Taylor kept landing, but it wasn't anything powerful that Delphine kept
nothing to really
pressuring.
hurt
She
him,
kept
yeah.
pressuring
Yeah,
pretty much
nothing
the
to
whole
hurt her.
fight. And the thing about it with Taylor is that she's a great boxer. She's very technical, and but she just couldn't land that shot to back Delphine up a little bit. And Delphine even agreed with this time. She said she respected the results, so she's there. I don't think there's any interest in the third fight. This one was a
It was
clear
just a
decision.
clear one-sided,
And
to be
Delphine actually
honest.
said she broke her nose in the second. So, and she still kept coming on.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's always weird to me when someone's aggressive, but it's not effective aggression.
Effective aggression.
Yeah, because like you're cutting the ring off and you're in front of the person,
But you're getting
not,
beat up.
But yeah, you're not throwing.
Even if they're
punches.
not damaging shots that are rock you, or drop you, you keep getting peppered with those shots throughout the fight for
Yeah,
no
it's
reason.
like she
Basically,
was-
just walking in to get punched.
Yeah, a mobile, body
Punching bag.
punching bag. So like she was moving forward, but I don't know if she was trying to set something up. It was just I totally agree with you guys. It was definitely a weird
I think
approach.
she was waiting. She was waiting for like that punch, or she was waiting for that moment where she could do some damage. But unfortunately, like waiting for that moment, if that moment never comes,
No,
you're
because
gonna
when
be
you
beat by
when you
some
when you
punches.
get when you get hit with a lot of punches and you're trying to land something good and to hurt someone else, it's just you're just massacring yourselves. It's just getting on you, and the frustration's not going to lead to anything. So I think that there was total control on that side.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And Esmeralda, I want to ask you about women's boxing in general. Do you feel like maybe instead of 2-minute rounds, there should be 3-minute rounds? Because, and this is my opinion, in 2-minute rounds, you pretty much have to go out there guns blazing a lot of the times. Instead of if it's a 3-minute round, you can feel your opponent out and try to set up that knockout punch. But with the 2-minute rounds, I always felt that's kind of short. Because I mean, unless I'm grossly incorrect about women's cardio, I think will the extra minute do a big difference in your opinion?
I think as far as for all the female boxers, I think there wouldn't be a difference as far as how they work out and how they exercise. I think the difference would be more us as fans would see more. Probably
Right.
some more
More-
knockouts. We would
more-
see more
yes.
knockdowns. We would
Mhm.
see a
Right.
lot more
Exactly, and that's what I was alluding
blood
to.
and a little bit of that, because
They could set up
it's
the
those
punch.
moments they get saved by the bell sometimes, and you're like, oh, come on,
Already?
it's
It's
a
just too
3-minute
quick.
round.
Yeah, and they have to unload pretty much. Have to go.
But also
at
it
it quick.
depends though too, because if you're the aggressor and then you're just beating on someone else, you got an extra minute to keep beating on them.
That's true.
So I
That's
think it was
true.
that. But you're right. I think that was a good point.
Maybe, yeah,
because
it's-
honestly, sometimes you're like, what happened here? Already
Yeah,
you're on
'cause
the
they're
belt.
trying
you
to
know?
they're trying to set up the punch, but
Yep.
it's hard.
And
with the
it don't.
2-minute rounds.
Some boxers it
Boxers
take
are too
a while,
good
though.
for that. Yeah, they're way
Yeah.
too good for that.
It goes
especially
by
at that
fast.
level.
Those 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
If you've ever seen an amateur fight, like those 2 minutes just
Oh, yeah.
go by
They
so
do.
fast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
Really
I
do.
think you guys bring up a good point that you would have more action, the results, because
Yes.
when you don't have your wind, you're not going to win. People get tired, fatigue, which is going to lead to more.
Yeah, more knockouts, and I
More
think you'd have
damage.
a cleaner fight too. You'd have a much cleaner fight, or more technical, skillful fight.
Wow.
Because a lot of these
I
guys,
think the judges would see that the answer is more obvious sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
That's
If it
good
goes to
though.
Yeah.
decision, like they see, like, oh, you know what, she totally took it, or okay, she didn't take as many rounds as we thought. But it's women to train. Like I've seen women train if they're fighting 6 rounds. I've seen women train 10 to even 12 rounds to get that stamina up. So
To get
that's
the stamina.
the extra minute's not an issue for the athlete at all.
Good.
No, definitely. So no, that's a great point.
Yeah, that's hopefully they strongly consider maybe amending that rule to 2 to 3 minutes. I really don't understand why. I mean, why lower it down? I mean,
I'm in favor of increasing it and having it to be the same.
Yeah.
I think that would improve the quality of the sport
overall.
And I think that
Many
ultimately
people are for it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I think for me, what it would also do is have that equal playing field to have more fights showcased.
Yeah.
To get more fights on TV, to get more fan interest, to get more people involved in the sport.
Exactly.
It'll help it grow. I mean, I think it improves the quality, and I think it's something that's pretty easy to fix.
Yeah, very easy.
So no, thank you so much for chiming on that. So we have to talk about the main event.
Well, I wanted to ask her a question before we go to the main event.
Ask away.
I gotta ask this one for you. From the current females that are out there, champions, not champions, who do you really admire right now? Their boxing skills, their style.
Oh, that's a good one.
Amanda Serrano.
Ooh.
Yeah, I want to say there's 3, and I'll give a little bit of each one and why.
No.
And
Can you rank them?
Whoa.
Rank them. Yes.
Number 3, Spider.
Sorry, I'm out of control.
Number
Sorry. No, this is your moment, Esmeralda.
Yes.
Sorry.
oh, no ranking, but Sinisa is
Number 3.
She's
Okay.
Super bad.
Super bad.
1.5.
Super bad.
All
Okay.
right.
She's good. I think
Oh yeah.
when I see her fighting, she's aggressive, and she does have a lot of talent. So I want to see her do more. I'm waiting for her to do more.
Like her last
Because-
fight.
Yeah.
That was a good. I've been in her shoes.
Did
before,
you feel
sometimes
bad
we
for
don't know-
her opponent?
No, but
There
I'm
you
saying
go.
that because I used to fight before, and I was in that situation where you don't know. It could take one wild shot. It could take
Correct.
one shot that maybe the other opponent wasn't really training on, and that's going to be enough to hurt you. And you can't take that risk as a fighter. You have to
you
go in
gotta
and
do
just
your
do
business.
it all at
Yep.
once.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a business, yeah.
Yeah. That's this.
But
It's the hurt business.
Yeah, that's just to comment real quick on that. I did remember that 7-second fight, and that was one of the rare times where I felt bad after I watched the fight. Like I had to take a bath and
Said, "Oh,
call my
no."
mom. Like, what did I just witness?
Oh,
like
man,
it was
just
really bad. I don't even feel good
And
talking
then
about
you
it.
watched it again.
Yeah, again.
And it came
on loop.
Oh my goodness.
I'm a sicko.
I lost it actually. I wasn't able to watch it. I had to rewind it.
What?
I told you. I
You were
went
in
up.
the
I got up. I
restroom.
went.
Oh,
No,
that's
I went to
right.
get a beer, and then when I came back, it's like, okay, gone. What happened?
over.
Then when I watched in the replay, she was just there, like,
She's
what
just
am I going to do?
standing there.
I'm in the ring. I'm finally here, like my very
Confused.
first fight, and it wasn't her first fight, but I just. She's
It's one of
she
those
didn't
things.
belong there. to
Yeah, I
be
mean,
honest.
it,
All right.
No disrespect.
Number 2 is
Esmeralda?
Número dos.
There's no numbers.
no, we're making it ranked.
We can't.
we're
We
ranking
can't
them
get
for
you on
you,
that one.
right?
We tried.
Okay, let's go by states. There, my number 1 for for California would be Sinisa.
Okay.
My number 1 for I believe it's Arizona would be Sulem.
Okay.
All right.
Sulem's like she's a warrior. She's the definition of a guerrera. The way she fights, she goes toe to toe, and she's in the ring. She's just a different person than she is outside of the ring, and you see that. And it's like she's so passionate. She's such a forward fighter, and I love that about her. Of course,
That's awesome.
for Tijuana, one of my favorites is Paulette Valenzuela. If you guys haven't heard of her yet, look her up. She just had a fight on Box Azteca, but she's a great fighter. She is coached by Jaime Munguia's trainer, Fernando, and this girl has something else. She fights like I want to say a lot of the guys, and she goes toe to toe in sparring with the guys, and she's got this different stance and this different technique, but it's so effective. She was actually the underdog on the fights that she had on Saturday. No one expected her to win, but everyone who had seen her, like, we knew what she had.
Against
Right.
Melissa
And when she
Esquivel?
went in there,
This past
Paulette
Saturday?
Valenzuela.
Oh, Valenzuela, Carla Valenzuela.
Paulette Valenzuela, yeah, Carla Valenzuela.
When she fought Carla.
And
yeah.
she took the win because she surprised everybody that didn't know about her or didn't know how she trains. But she's rough. She
Knocked her out.
is a warrior for sure. Also,
Man,
Melissa.
I love the way you
I like those
described
tough
her.
fighters. I like those fighters that just aren't scared of the punch and they just go forward and keep going forward when their nose is bleeding. Or
Split
something.
decision.
right.
Yeah,
Damn,
she
man,
did.
he's getting me
She scored
fired
that
up.
Split
Yep,
decision
yep.
win
That's
over,
awesome.
over Melissa Esquivel.
So this is the one where when you're in Tijuana, you're taking pictures of her, right? Or I mean, you have, And
I
you're
did. I
familiar-
recently took some of her. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Oh man, that's an awesome list, by the way.
Oh,
That's a fantastic list. So,
she's attractive. She's very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Oh, I
so
said that out
nice
loud.
and so humble.
all right. So, hey, you know what? Hey, let's go ahead. Hey, since it's out there, let's go ahead and put it. All right. So, Esmeralda. All right. We're so glad to have you on here. How do you feel about that? Because I think that honestly, you know, I am a guy.
I mean, it's just an observation.
I
brother.
can't deny what I
it's
see.
fine.
Do you
It's
think
okay.
it's a? How do you feel about women utilizing their physical
Oh, he went there.
attributes? No,
I went there, huh?
no, actually, you started it, sir.
did.
Using it
sorry,
to
I did.
promote themselves.
Mhm.
Do you see that as a? How do you feel about it? Does it move the needle at all? You don't care? Do you see that as a positive thing? Do you think it's necessary evil? How do you feel about it, or you hate that Hopper brought it up?
I mean, are you saying they're using their bodies to promote it, or is that what you think they're doing?
Oh.
Well, what I'm saying is that is there a situation where that sometimes that if they do, it's a positive,
Right. Yeah.
right? If they do use it, do you think that it's a positive, or you're not seeing it either way?
Michaela Mayer. Remember, she just fought in Top Rank. She's
She has a
very
high fashion
active.
sense for boxing. She's
She's
her
always.
fashion, her boxing word is really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Tijuana. To me, it's sports bras and trunks, and it's very humbling down here too. It's you don't have the money and the luxuries for all that. So I think everyone has a different stance on it. And every woman should just, if it represents who you are, and if it's you,
If it's
by
you,
all
right?
means, go ahead
Genuine.
and do it. Like represent yourself. Yeah.
So as
Represent
long as it's
yourself.
not an act, like if that's you,
Yeah, that was basically it. I mean, if it's who
Yeah.
you are,
in
then
your face,
yeah.
gringo.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
dunked on you.
That's
Like
what I
if you feel that sexy and you're always the sexy woman at the grocery store, at wherever you go, and that's
Be
who are,
you.
then
If that's
by
you,
all
no.
means,
hey, go ahead.
step
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
the
see, that
scale in
makes
your bathing
sense,
suit
yeah.
and do whatever you like.
No, absolutely.
Are you on the Jessica McCaskill train?
Oh, she has to be. No. The reaction. The reaction. The silence.
I just
said
saw
it
that
all.
reaction.
Did she hang up? Esmeralda?
Cecilia, she
Are you
did
still
be
there?
Cecilia Bracas, but
Esmeralda?
what are
she
your thoughts
there?
on that?
Oh,
fight?
wow.
What were your thoughts on that? Jessica McCaskill and Cecilia Bracas
I mean,
fight.
I've seen Breakers fight so many times, and I think she's a great fighter. And
That
it
wasn't
was
her?
disappointing to
That
me, of
wasn't
course,
her?
in that sense.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You
That
know,
was
the
not her
case
style.
She did really good. She did good. I'm hoping the more fights she's getting, the more she's like really claiming those belts and showing them to everybody, because that's what I'm hoping for her.
Right.
I've heard great things about her. One of the girls I also shot, Emily, she many times went to camp with Makisco, so she told me a lot of really good stories about her.
Chicago.
Yeah, she told me she's an amateur, Emily, and she was like, yeah, she gave me these tips. Then she saw me spar, then she sparred with me, and she told me what I did and what I didn't do. So she seems like a great person. She's
Yeah.
a great role model as well. So I really hope claiming these belts now, her confidence, everything goes up to 100, and she's like, okay, my next fight, like
I think
I'm
probably a
gonna
rematch
kill it.
with
My next
Katie,
fight, I'm
right?
gonna
Probably
knock
a
her
Did
out.
you
rematch.
see a rematch
Rematch
with
with
Katie
Katie?
Taylor? I mean, I know that it was a very close
Yeah.
fight. It's still
Oh,
Taylor. had
I'd
this
watch.
edge,
I'm
but Would you
in.
watch
I'm
that?
in, yeah.
Oh,
I would definitely watch
Oh,
that,
yeah.
yeah. And in that case, I'd go for Makisco. I'd go for Makisco. I think
Yeah, same
Makisco can really
here, same
win
here.
it.
I think, and then Cecilia, let's not ignore her. She stellar career. It just seems like she was already out, 1 foot out of the boxing retirement. She looked, what's a good word here? She looked done with
out?
the sport already. She looked, even after the fight, because that wasn't her fight. We've seen her fight before. She's very aggressive, and she just looked off. I think her head's already in retirement. When she's speaking
Even
about it,
leading up to the fight,
yeah.
leading up to the fight, like her press, her pictures, her it was just
She's
wasn't her.
like
And
going
it
through the
kind of gave you the
motions,
feeling-
and
yeah.
she I think she was kind of relieved that when the decision, like she lost. Oh, okay, like she was. That
Yeah,
pressure's off. Like okay,
you for-
yeah.
They were saying that, Hopper. So, what do you think about that, Esmeralda? Because I kind of took that same vibe too.
Yeah.
It almost felt like Cecilia was, breathing a
mentally
sigh of
checked
Well, I
relief.
think it's
Yeah,
just.
yeah.
I
She was
think
just
she
tired
just
of it.
25,
she's
20, well, she
tired.
had what,
She's
25,
30.
25 straight defenses of her
Yeah.
title?
No,
25
I
or
mean,
Yeah, it was 25. Or she was going to break
She
Joe.
could have made it 26.
26.
Yeah, she was trying to break Joe
And at
Louis's
38,
record.
I mean, your body doesn't take much. I mean,
metabolism
she
slows
looked
down, your
washed out
legs are
completely.
gone.
She was actually super excited, for
Jessica. Very happy for
and
her.
That's
I
I
mean,
mean, that's
you
a
can
true
tell.
champion.
Yeah.
And for that, honestly, I feel that that's the end of it.
A younger
for her.
Cecilia would have said, "I want the rematch."
Right, exactly.
No, she's like,
no,
hey,
she's like, cool, you got
cool,
me,
you
you're
got
nice,
it,
you
I'm
beat
out of
me.
here.
And she sounded more like this is going to be it in
This
my
is
career.
it.
I don't
And
think
we
she's setting
hey,
it, but we respect
props
it.
to her.
Big time.
Hall of Famer
Oh, yeah.
for sure. I mean,
Absolutely,
that's
100%.
surefire first ballot Hall of Famer
100%.
Cecilia. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely. And that's how we saw it. It looks like we're in
Yeah.
agreement here on that. So what do you think, Esmeralda? Do you agree with that, or you think we're shortchanging Cecilia quite a bit?
Stick to men's boxing. We don't know what we're talking about.
No, I totally agree. I think for both men and women, you really have to read between the lines sometimes.
No.
And you really have to see, leading up to the fight, you have to read between those lines because sometimes you can see how they're feeling or how
Yes, exactly.
how they think they're going to do. And sometimes that'll tell you like, oh, he might not do
Yep.
that great. Like
That's why
I see that with these fights. Sorry, I see that with these fights like through my camera. I'm taking pictures and I see them at the weigh-ins and I see them when they're about to be announced in the ring, and some have that fear in their eye, like
Yep.
I'm gonna
You
lose
can
this, and
see
then
it.
some have like I'm gonna
The
kill them, and it's
vibe
just you gotta read in between those lines and really see, and you'll find out who's gonna win, who's gonna lose, who's gonna knock the person out.
See, she knows her boxing because that's what I tell people when they ask me, "Hey, who's gonna win this boxing fight?" And it's like 3 months away. And I tell them, well, let me see how training camp goes. Let
Right.
me see how let me get a little closer to the fight, and I'll probably be able to.
Unless
to
it's
weigh
Andy
in.
Ruiz.
Unless it's
you
Andy
probably-
Ruiz, we know he's out there partying.
I cheer for him. I really am. I'm hoping.
Hey, same here. Same
Oh,
here.
we are.
Hey,
We are. We hope
Mexicanos al grito de guerra.
Sí,
Para
siempre.
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 Oh.
Yeah.
His,
So
his
did-
next opponent's gonna feel that whole negativity from him,
I
and
hear
he's
you.
just gonna take
Yeah.
it out on him.
Yeah, I'm really.
So who's that? Who's that number one? I mean, the
number
third
one.
person.
Oh no, yeah, that's right. Not ranking, right? No rankings.
Oh
No, I
yeah.
said
Oh, she did. She did.
Paulette.
Paulette
Paulette.
Valenzuela. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
La
Teresa
La
for
heredera.
California.
La heredera.
Paulette.
Wow.
There
Well, I'm
you go,
excited
yes.
about female boxing because, to be honest, even Mary Khan and also Clarissa Shields. There's a lot
Clarissa
of
Shields, we haven't even
there's a
touched
lot
on
about,
her.
And, you
She
know,
said she could beat up Shawn Porter.
Right, I
And
know.
Keith Thurman. What do
Can
you
you
think
believe
about
that?
that, Esmeralda? ¿Le crees
Clarissa
que se puede
Shields.
golpear a Triple G? That's what she threw.
Que le puede
She
dar
threw
a-
Triple G's name out there too, right?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She was
Yeah.
saying
Right,
that.
remember?
Yeah,
she
that
just
bit,
went on
that
that
is-
I
rant.
blocked it out
She
my
could beat
memory.
up
I was
Keith
like,
Thurman. I'm
okay.
like, girl, what is wrong with
confidence
you?
is confidence is
It's
appreciated,
hard. I
and
don't
It's
know.
hard.
Yeah. It's
Their response.
That's some good confidence, and I'm glad she feels that powerful. And I
Good.
mean, we don't know unless it really
Right.
happens.
You gotta feel yourself right in that
Do you feel
sport.
it was more marketing for her to get more attention?
Clout.
Because I know, of course, everything's now
Does
about
she
social media. is what you
really
do.
think that?
Or is it? Does she really like? She wakes
Yeah.
up and everyone's like, yes,
I'm
I
gonna
can
beat up Shawn
him.
Porter.
I can beat Crawford. I can
just
beat
saw
Triple
him
G.
fight.
Sorry
Yeah.
for you, Gringo, but
No.
she can beat Triple G.
Yep.
at checkers.
At checkers.
So one thing I did want to ask, since we got on, actually, I like that we're talking about women's boxing. So one thing I did want to ask that, we mentioned Clarissa Shields, and she refers to her as the GOAT. It's hard for me to say.
The GOAT.
Yeah.
I'd still give that
So-
to Ann Wolf
so-
right now.
Yeah,
Ann Wolf.
I get the
Ann
Ann Wolf too.
she's the
yeah.
all-time.
So shout out to Ann Wolf.
Lucia
So
Riker.
Yes.
Yeah.
so
for sure.
here's the thing though, like, Marlene Esparza, I saw her on an interview.
Shout
where
out
she
to
made
Houston.
a comment. Shout out to H-Town, right?
Stay
She
safe.
made a comment that there was obviously some salt in her speak, so a little venom, but I actually kind of agreed with what she said.
What?
Because hear me out.
not
Because I have disappointment because women's boxing is just getting going as far as getting more established. It's really hard to say we already have somebody being the greatest so early on, or
Well, I mean, the greatest so far. Right.
to this point. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about that, Esperanza? Do you agree with that? That no, we can have a greatest right now. We don't have to have a 150-year lineage like men's boxing. If you're the best right now or the best to this point, you're still the best, and you are need to be recognized and respected. And all that being
Riker,
said, do you feel like she's the
Christy
best
Martin,
right now?
Regina Hammock.
I feel like women's boxing hasn't been as popular as it is right now. I mean, personally, I don't think
Vonda Ward.
anyone's the GOAT yet. I think, there's a lot of factors that play into it. I mean, if you ask some people, they're going to have different answers, especially regarding the women. I mean, it could have been Lucia Riker and Wolf. Right now, I mean, Jackie Nava has had some losses, and she's still such a great fighter. But those losses were like she went to war with her opponents, and those are losses that she's proud of. So if you have losses that you're proud of,
Who
by all
are you
means,
talking about? I'm sorry.
Jackie Nava.
Okay.
Jackie
Yes.
Nava,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying
and-
also because I do have a lot of respect for Mariana Juarez. And same thing. She has had a couple of losses. She has
Even
learned from
Laila
them.
Ali was.
Laila Ali, yeah,
That's-
but
yeah.
but they have come up and they have built from those losses, and all of a sudden they come
Exactly.
back
That's
and
the thing.
become the
They've
world
built
champions
from
again.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah, they've showed their fans and the people like, hey, like we went toe to toe. We, it was a bloodbath or a war zone, and yet we're not letting that loss define us. They still came up and did so much better. And to me, I really want to see Clarissa Shields to the point where she's with someone that's up at her caliber. As far as punching, as far as strength, everything, and then yeah, of course, like the quote will come. Just we don't know when or
Just keep
who or
grinding.
yet.
Keep
but-
grinding.
No,
I
that's
mean,
great. Yeah, and
it's too early for her to be focused on that
Right.
already.
yeah, in calling
But
out.
interesting
Triple
enough, it
G.
happens.
Her
it happens,
career still.
it happens
not
both
even
in the
that
females and
well
happens in the male too as well. Because we'll talk about someone right now that he has had a few good losses with top elite boxers, and now we see him back again, and that's Showtime Porter. He's had a few losses in his career, and
correct, yeah.
he redeemed
That's probably why
himself
she
this
thinks
last
she could beat
weekend.
him.
Yeah, but I mean, I
that's true.
I don't know about you guys, but this last weekend, I just saw a completely total different Shawn Porter.
Dominated. No, it's the usual Shawn Porter.
Well,
It's
I've
just
never seen him
his opponent was-
so like jumping up and down, being in control with his jab, not going too crazy. Because if you look at, you were there when he fight Earl Spence, but he
I
wasn't
was.
throwing
Name
those
drop.
crazy punches like just a brawling in there. Nothing was landing. Right now, everything was just very accurate. He was bouncing back and forth. He was confusing. Sebastian a
Formella.
lot. He couldn't even get his game going at all. And I'm not saying that Sebastian is not a talented kid. I just think that they threw him
It's
out there
just
too
levels,
soon
it's
enough.
levels
It's not.
to
It's not
this.
at this level. I
He's
think.
nowhere near this.
Well,
level
not at
Shawn
all. But
Porter
now we
is.
see that Shawn Porter is still at the elite
Oh,
level
yes,
to possibly
definitely.
get another opportunity.
I hope he does.
I hope he do. I just don't think that. Do you feel, Marala, that a fight against, let's say, Danny Garcia, that's what
the winner of
talking about,
Spence
the winner
Garcia,
Spencer Garcia,
that's Porter.
will probably going to fight Porter. But do you feel like if Errol Spence gets to beat Garcia, would that be a fight that it would really interest you? And Shawn does have a legitimate chance
rematch.
to win in that rematch.
We got to see how Spence looks too.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on Shawn Porter in general? I mean, do you think
Yeah.
that we're overselling him? He is what it is, and
No, not at all. No, I okay, so I remember seeing Danny Garcia, KO Morales.
Mm,
And-
that's not good.
Yeah.
And
Twice.
I'm so thank you.
Oh.
And for that,
I didn't say that, by the
Keep
way.
adding more pain to it. I
know,
didn't say
right?
it.
Yeah,
I wasn't even thinking it.
Yeah, it hurt me too, but
Oh, you should, I was
it
mad.
does.
I'm gonna go through my Facebook post when it happens.
Imagine, yes, it's to see that. I personally, I mean, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but I'm not a huge fan of Danny Garcia, and that I keep my loyalty with Morales. But I just feel like Spence could really do some damage, and I think there comes a moment when your confidence is not going to be in there with you in the ring.
Right.
Like all that overconfidence, all that you have, when it comes down to fighting, there's going to be someone who's going to lose. And most of the time, you just get overconfident, underestimate your opponent.
Right.
Most of the time, you get surprised by that.
No, definitely. I mean, for me, just kind of twofold on that. I'm really high on Shawn Porter. I don't think he gets enough credit. I mean, just kind of going through his resume, it's phenomenal.
impressive.
It's extremely impressive. I'll go ahead and say, as far as the active
We've said it
fighters
before,
that aren't
yeah.
like
He's
locks to go to
strong.
Hall of Fame, yeah, he's strong. And like to Manny's point, yeah, he was kind of doing the smothering and covering,
He's-
mauling in the beginning, the first 2 rounds, but he did get some extension out there and show a little bit more diversity in his game. But he's clearly working on his craft. Like that was one of the better fights he looked. Granted, his
Oh, yeah.
opponent wasn't that great, but he definitely humbled his opponent. Now, all that said, I think he absolutely deserves the winner of whoever. You know,
any championship,
any champion. You know,
champion.
before I got to be honest, I was kind of one of those guys that because of his style wasn't the prettiest, and it would be frustrating to kind of watch at times.
At first, many
yeah.
moons ago.
Kind of like
when he fought Paulie Malignaggi and Devin Alexander early on. That's
Kell Brook.
even Julio Diaz.
That draw
Kell
with
Brook
Julio
fight,
Diaz.
that era.
Oh, that
But
Kell
see,
Brook was brutal.
the thing about Shawn Porter, he's pretty much fought all the people, everybody in the welterweight division. Adrian Broner,
and
Keith
that's the
Thurman,
thing,
Granados, Garcia,
Yeah.
Ugas,
Right.
Spence. Who
Yeah.
else can? I mean, this guy's
And that's the
this
thing,
a throwback
man.
fighter. This is what you want about fighters.
This is a fighter that continues to get major opportunity. He's just not a
And he's a
step
great
for
guy.
anyone else that's
He's-
coming up. That's what Formella's team thought. You know, we beat this guy. We're to that elite level,
yeah.
right? Oh, he's just
Nope.
another step for me to get up there. And I think he was just. I mean, he completely
mollywop.
discombobulated, man.
Mollywop.
He couldn't even throw a punch. I mean, he
Nothing.
landed a couple of good stuff,
You
but
gotta
Porter got
give
like
him-
7, 8, 9 combinations back and forth, man. It was crazy.
Sebastian did display one thing. I mean, I watched the
Courage.
fight at
Oh,
hard
Take a
grit.
punch.
I'm
I
telling you.
watched
Yes.
the fight Saturday.
No.
That Saturday, I actually watched it at my compadre's house. So shout out to Maron Yesenia, my lovely compas. Love them.
Saludo, compa! Hey!
I watched the fight there, and Sebastian was just getting beat up. I mean, it's hard to. It's not hard to analyze the fight because Shawn Porter did pretty much whatever he wanted to do.
Completely.
You name something, he did it.
Yep.
Except drop him. So I guess that's where you can.
Well, I mean,
credit
that's why he
Sebastian.
showed that
The
toughness he's got in the preparation,
Yep.
you know, throughout the training, and you know, it's been difficult nowadays without this pandemic, but still, he showed.
you know what?
Yeah.
Sorry, Formella had really, really good positioning of his feet, and I think as strong as the punches were from Porter, he just had such a good stance that Porter
balance.
It hurt him, yeah, but he had that good balance that he just didn't fall. There was a lot of shots that I thought should have already dropped Formella.
Did you ever feel like at any point it should have been stopped?
No,
No, I think no.
I don't think so.
And I think
He was
these are-
taking a lot of damage, like in the
Yeah,
10th
he was.
round.
I mean, I thought he was gonna
there
get
was
stopped,
a
but-
round
but-
particular where
I think it was like 4th or 5 or
it was
something.
like in the
that.
middle rounds too, like
Yeah.
in the 8th or the 9th, where Shawn
Show a
was
glance,
just
yeah.
the body punches, it
was like almost 12
It was just a
It's like 12 punch combinations,
Yeah.
up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like, wow, get this guy out of there. I thought the ref was going to jump in and stop that, but I think that Sebastian's probably going to learn from this. He will be a really good boxer, and he'll probably contend possibly in the future. I just don't know right now because the welterweight is just so stacked up with so many elite boxers that I just don't think at this particular time. But I think he's going to give us a lot of great fights in the future, and he might be a big, huge surprise because the way he took all these punches on Saturday, I'm telling you, I'm still hurting, to be honest, just by watching that.
Yeah, he took a lot of damage. I mean, that's why that's what I did. I mean, you know, not that he was necessarily like in trouble or staggered,
no,
but
it's just
he was taking so much damage. And to me, and again, you know, I would have been a horrible referee probably because I would stop stuff too quickly. But you know, if you have a chance to win, you know, I think to me like around the 10th round, I was like, man, he's got no chance to win. But I mean, he was still in there, and you know, to Esmeralda's point, he did have a good stance, and he was happy being there. I never seen a guy so happy to get his ass whooped. You know, he was fired up. That check must have been sweet.
Yeah.
All right, so just to kind of touch on real quick, because you did mention it, Esmeralda, because we want to get you on record, ma'am. You did mention that you got a little bit of venom for Mr. Danny Swift Garcia. So Danny Swift Garcia, when he does fight the man EJ Errol Spence Jr. from the Soda Tejas, who do you have winning that fight, and why?
You know what?
Uh-oh.
I think if it goes to decision, I think Danny Garcia is going to get it.
What?
Interesting.
I didn't expect that.
Are you saying it because
I
of the
feel
current
like it.
situation right now that, you know, Errol Spence went through and we don't know exactly how is he coming back? Or do you actually feel based on Danny Garcia's last performance?
A combination.
Yeah.
I feel like it's based on a lot of politics and, you know, with social media nowadays and, you know, having more followers or having more, I guess, more noise on social media. I think they might just by a little bit lean towards Danny Garcia if it was to go to decision. I do think, though, Errol Spence is going to come really, really strong, and I do hope he does, but I'm cheering for him. But I think, unfortunately, I think if it doesn't go all the way, I think they'll give it to Danny.
Oh, wow. Esmeralda with the hot take. Hey, All right, so we're kind of coming towards the end. There were some things we want to touch on, but it doesn't matter because Esmeralda's in his house.
En la casa.
And baby.
Casa.
So we want you to go ahead and have the last word, if you would, please. So the thing we would like to know, and the world would like to know,
We all do.
what would you like? What would make a great 2020? Well, first of all, if it wasn't 2020 right now, it would be great.
Yeah.
But if it was 2020 boxing wise, what would you like to see before it's all said and done? Before that calendar switches over to 21, Esmeralda wants to see what happens.
What fight?
Oh man, let me see.
There are a lot of
Can we
good
do one
ones.
for the men.
No,
And then
you
do
know,
one
this is
for the women?
Esmeralda's time. Whatever you want,
Esmeralda.
boxing wise. So like you like for this year
Well,
to
throw
be
a
salvaged.
female and throw a male.
Yeah, whatever
There
you
go.
want.
There
Yeah,
you go.
male, female,
You know-
whatever.
I really, really just want to see Jackie Nava versus Juarez. I mean, it
Okay.
was supposed to happen and it got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see that because that's just going to close that chapter in women's Mexican boxing
That's
for
right.
Mexico. And it's going to tell you, like, okay, is it Juarez? Is it Jackie Nava? And, you know, that's just like such a good defining box, like historical moment. For
Love
boxing.
me some
I feel like
Juarez.
Okay, man. So
Jackie Nava here. But
uh-oh.
We should do a podcast with her. You know the
Go live when they're fighting.
Yeah, when they're fighting.
Man, you don't want that smoke.
back
I
and
know,
forth.
right?
I mean, honestly, I think that would be such a great defining moment. I think
Wow.
they should have made that one rather than Jackie Nava and the Chacala that she fought last. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, for the end of the year, I really, really want to see Ruiz do his comeback. I really want to see him. I want to see him show everybody, like, hey, I fucked up once, you know, that's it. But you know, I'm here. Like, I love boxing. I'm gonna keep boxing, and this is me. I'm really trying to root for him, and I'm really hoping a lot of positivity for him. He deserves it.
For who?
Andy Ruiz.
Oh, Andy Reese.
Oh man,
okay.
you really
Yeah.
got
Okay.
his back still. I love
Okay.
that. I
I understood Maurice Mo. For some
Sorry,
reason. Sorry, no,
Ruiz.
it's good. No, Andy Reese.
No.
I totally agree with you. I think if he commits and dedicates himself to the sport and you know be able to dedicate and keep dedicating, I think he does have a legitimate opportunity, and especially now with the way the heavyweights are. It can go anywhere. It could go anywhere. Everything
You know,
lies in the
also,
okay.
sorry. Also, I'm looking forward for the Lomachenko and Sofimo fight.
Oh,
Ooh.
Lord.
All right.
So we can't let you go until
magic
No,
word.
you
cannot
said the magic
let you
word.
go until
Okay,
you-
boy.
okay,
Come
okay,
on,
okay.
Esmeralda.
Manny
Who-
calls him
who'd
el
you
rey.
You
got?
have to pick somebody.
Who'd you got? El
El
Rey
rey o
de los
Teofimo?
lightweights o Teofimo?
Oh, the other guy, dice Manny.
Oh.
El otro. Nah, I like Theo. I like Theo.
Yeah,
I just
Theo's
right now. Well, I mean, it's like you, Ryan Garcia or Campbell.
Oh,
Come on,
no.
there you go. So
Campbell.
I know. Campbell. Okay,
Good
back
one,
to this
Esmeralda.
one. So who do you favor in this matchup? Lomachenko or Teofimo, and why?
Yeah,
Who's
don't
got
let
the slight edge?
Yeah, don't let us sway you. Just go with your heart.
Okay. You know what? I favor Tail. I'm gonna have to go with Tail. I know.
No, let her explain. Ignore him. Esmeralda, please go ahead. Enlighten us.
Let me give you my my educated analogy, I guess.
I'm all ears. I'm all
here we
ears.
Oh. Take notes, Manny.
You know, with everything that happened, especially you know Lomachenko putting it from his purse, I really feel like you're gonna have that much pride and you've got that much more weight on your shoulders to not only win the fight, but you have to come in with either a knockout, a TKO. You got to come in pretty damn strong for that fight. And I'm really hoping that he can do that because that's the only choice he has is to pretty much come in and go for a knockout or come in and just.
So
do
you
some
mean that
damage right away.
Teofimo needs to come out with a knockout to prove that all this stuff he's talking about and I deserve more, and then Loma doing this thing, he needs to knock out Loma to prove himself?
I think he needs to show everybody that he can do it and he's a warrior. I think this would be the start for him to get some more elite fighters and do probably a little bit more, and he'll have that little window where okay, you know what, hell yeah, this is my time that I can show everybody what I've got and go ahead and go for it. I mean, I know Lomachenko's a beast, but like I said, I'm just hoping Teofimo gets his happy ending, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, and that's a good assessment.
No,
to be
that's
honest.
awesome,
I mean,
man.
It's
And
understandable.
you dropped so much amazing
Like-
enlightenment as far as the information you shared, your story, your experience, your passion for boxing. If you could go ahead and share again your social media and let everybody know how they can continue to follow you. We are definitely going to make a point to have you back on, if you don't mind.
That's on the contract, Esmeralda. You
Right.
have to.
We'll
La
see someone
reina del
once.
boxeo, fotógrafa
You
de
have
la
to speak to
gente.
my manager.
Husband, where is he?
He's over there.
Okay.
But of course, I would love to come back on with you guys. It's Fotografa De La Gente. I am the people's photographer. I like you guys said, I love telling that story from the gym, from the amateurs, up until all these fighters
That's a great
lead
story.
up to whatever it is, top rank or wherever they choose to go. But I like being there from the beginning of those moments that not everyone gets to witness. So I'm Fotografa De La Gente on Instagram, and I am Ferraro on Twitter.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go ahead and say the best up and coming, not just up and coming, she's here to stay for real boxing photographer in the game right now. So check her out. Check out her stuff. And she knows her stuff. And she's extremely knowledgeable. And she's going to tell you like it is. And she's going to give you some fantastic imagery on the way of her journey. Don't miss it. She's phenomenal.
Oh, thank you guys.
We can't wait to meet you one of these days in one of the events. We were able to,
Go to
finally,
Tijuana.
be with Chicana. We had a great time.
Or
Can't
come
wait
to your studio.
Come to
Yeah,
our
there
studio,
you go.
yeah.
In the house,
In the house,
En
damas
vivo.
y caballeros, en vivo.
Bring
Estamos
this with
aquí.
me.
Esmeralda, reina de la fotógrafa. En vivo, episodio número 56.
We are out.
Adiós, nos vemos.
Thank